Hey Biotech, it's Danielle and I'm the Regional Career Education Coach, here with a few tips for building your resume. First, I want to briefly touch on an important point. A resume is not the same thing as a CV or a curriculum vitae, which you may see in some applications. CVs have no page limits. Curriculum vitae literally means course of life. They tend to be very, very long, communicating the entirety of your academic career, so they're typically targeted towards positions in academia. If you need help composing a CV, visit your campus career center. A resume, on the other hand, is 1 to 2 pages at most, and it's a concise document targeted towards a specific position. There are 3 different types of resumes for you to choose from: a chronological resume, functional resume, or combination resume. The chronological resume emphasizes your work history and job duties, while the functional resume emphasizes your skills, knowledge, and abilities. For our purposes and the type of employers that you're applying to, I recommend a combination resume, which picks up the strengths from both the chronological and the functional resume, so you're able to really emphasize both your skills and your work history. So now that that's settled, let's start building the combination resume that's perfect for you. Now, when I say resume building, it's not to be mistaken with formatting when you're actually composing and creating a document such as Microsoft Word or Illustrator, which we'll cover in another video. Resume building refers to the preparation that it takes place before you write the resume and establishes the mindset that you should have going into it. You want to show employers this is a well thought out document, and everything on your resume should be intentional for that specific position. Nothing is just because, and all content is deliberate and pertinent. Think of it as an employer's first glimpse at your work, and you're pitching the product you should know the best, yourself. I think it's really important to focus on why we're doing this. Understanding the benefits makes resume building a little less tedious. So why do we resume build? Because we want to effectively communicate our career objectives and value to the hiring company through a personal marketing document. How we communicate an objective to an employer comes down to 3 things: your vision, your value, and your brand. When you're thinking of vision, I want you to ask yourself, how do I perceive myself as a professional? How do I want to be perceived? What is my vision for my career? If you're able to think of those things and you have your vision in mind, your resume flows and works a lot better. For your value, you have to think of what is the value I bring as an employee. This includes the value of your experiences, the value of your skills, your future value, and the value of your qualifications altogether. So think of value as really showing the company, this is why you should hire me. Lastly, you have your brand, and your brand is how you want to be known. This is where your vision and value meet design principles in your document. So this controls the perception of how others see you, and it's evident in the design principles and consistency of your messages. Your name is your brand, and there's a professional reputation behind it. And your header is your brand. I would say your brand is your overarching appeal as a professional. So now that we know why we're doing this, let's talk about how to get it done. A strong resume is carefully planned and developed in an appropriate format designed to showcase your experience and accomplishments in direct relation to a specific position. Before we start building the resume, there are a few things we should keep in mind. First off, the average employer is not going to sit and read meticulously through your resume. I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. They only spend about 15 to 20 seconds on average looking through it. So you want to make sure that you have words that stand out and you give glimpses of your skills and qualifications so that your resume doesn't blend in with the others. And that also means that anything less than perfect is unacceptable. So you have to make sure those margins are set, those bullets are set, there are no grammatical errors, everything makes sense, and it all works for the position you're applying for. Now, there are 4 steps to building your content. And so those simple 4 steps are to assess, inform, prepare, and present. And the way I remember this when I'm tackling a resume is through a nice little acronym, always increasing paycheck potential, right? That AIPP. So assess, inform, prepare, and present. The first step is to assess yourself. Employers are looking for the skills and attitudes that you have, how you think, act, and work with others. Assess yourself and skills in terms of these categories. What interests and skills have you developed? What do you like working with best? People, things, or ideas and information? What subjects really interest you? By answering these simple questions, you can really start to figure out which direction you want your resume and cover letter to go. The second step is to inform yourself. In my opinion, the best way to inform yourself is to go out there and look at job posting sites. See what the job descriptions tell you about the type of position you want. Don't be afraid to pull up a few and ask yourself, what are the specific qualifications needed? So on this example here, you have your job application, but if you look at the bottom, right, we're assessing qualifications. So if you go down to the bottom here, we have your requirements and experience. If I were to go ahead and highlight that area, you can see this position here requires a certification with some experience with various technologies, as well as some different certifications. But if you look closely, I have it underlined in red right here that it's preferred. When you're looking at qualifications, just know it's a wish list, but you can start to see what positions you qualify for and how they can really contribute to your career path. This type of research may cause you to change or enhance your vision and potentially set goals that will ultimately increase your value. So I strongly recommend descriptions, look as many as possible, especially for your ideal company or your dream job. Even if it's a few degrees away, you can build a path so you can start to see consistency using different skills and job requirements. Another technique for informing yourself is to look at the keywords for job descriptions. So a lot of companies use digital databases where you need to have a certain amount of key terms in your resume to even get your resume through the filter. If you don't want to get it scrapped, if you want it to reach HR, you're really going to take these things seriously. So looking at this resume, I've already highlighted a few keywords here. And so those are different things that you may want to make sure that your resume also shows, right? I can see here there's QC, QA. Those are things that should always be on your resume right there. So if you're focusing on these different tasks at hand and you're really kind of actively reading and highlighting and going through these job applications, you'll have a lot more success in getting calls back. Do this a few times before you start to build your resume so that you can really see what the skills are that are in demand and what skills you could probably brush up on. So our next step is to prepare yourself. Being prepared will help you boost your confidence for the next level. So the way I like to think of it is your resume is your interview study guide and the outline for your cover letter. This is also a really good time to make up a job hunting plan, including goals, contacts and schedules, references. And you really should research the company that you'll be applying to. This will all contribute to giving you more confidence when you go in and interview, and you'll be able to speak about yourself and what you've done a lot more concisely.
There's nothing more impressive to hiring a manager than a candidate who knows about the position they're applying for. I really advise looking at the mission statement and vision statements on a company website to learn why the company exists, its goals, contributions, and culture. In addition, by actively reading and highlighting of the key terms, you'll be able to really show that you know what duties are involved and how to get the job done.
So once you study and practice and practice and practice, you'll see your interviewing skills can change drastically. The last skill is to present yourself. And so there's 2 places you're going to present yourself. That's on paper and in person. So the paper format contains your actual resume, your cover letter, your application. You want to make sure that when you are applying, you're doing it exactly the way they're saying to. Some companies may ask for you to fill out an additional test. I know on Indeed, you can do recorded interviews, video interviews, over the phone interviews. So there are some extra criteria to even applying. So make sure that you're looking at everything that you need to successfully apply to each position. Another good method is to use power words or action verbs. So those words evoke a call to action. And what they do is they show the employer that you're a person who is capable and that you really understand the job you did before and how it relates to the position that you're looking to apply to. You want to always tailor your resume to the job you are seeking. Now, some positions may require the exact same skill set, so you can reuse that resume, but you want to make sure that if you have two different career paths, let's say that you work in the retail industry, but you're also looking for a job in the lab, you're not going to be using the same resume. So just make sure that you're always updating it per position that you're applying for, per industry that you're applying for, and that the resume communicates that this is specific to that job. And it's okay to utilize professional help. There are so many resources on campus. If you need to know more about the skills that you're employing in class, you can refer to your syllabus, but you can also talk to your instructor. Tell them that you're trying to add the skills that you feel you've really mastered throughout the course, and maybe they can help you figure out what are good skills to add. Also, the campuses have career centers that are there to help you. I would recommend reaching out to your job developer or whatever other resources are on your campus. Really get to know what's available. You'll be surprised at some of the help that's there for free. And then lastly, in person. When you're presenting yourself in person, it's not just when you go into the interview, right? Also think of your correspondences and social media as part of your in-person persona. So correspondences are so important, and this is often time where people hit a wall before they even start running the race. This is where you really see a lot of slip up. What you want to do, especially if you're responding to a job posting where you have to send your resume via email, first, make sure you're using an email address that is proper. Everyone should have an email address that is just their first and last name and maybe some numbers if they need it. Whatever you use that for, I would recommend Yahoo or Gmail. You don't want to use outdated services like AOL, because if you're applying to someplace that's high tech, and you're using an old service like AOL or Earthlink or something that's archaic, what does that tell them about you? So I would really recommend using an updated Gmail or Yahoo service so that it shows the employers that you're very contemporary. A lot of these locations, a lot of places you apply, rely on free services such as Google Drive. So having a Gmail account just shows that you're already kind of in their network. So that can be really helpful when you're applying out. But when you're sending an email to apply, what you want to do is in the body of the email, it's so crucial that that is where you put your cover letter. And then you attach your resume as a PDF, and as well as attaching your cover letter again as a PDF, right? So in the body of the email, your cover letter is not going to have your header. It's not going to have your brand per se. But when you attach it as a PDF, that will be exactly how you want them to see you, how you want them to open up and read your document, how you want them to know you intended them to see what you've written in your cover letter. So it's really important that you also attach it, right? So your email is written exactly to them, but your cover letter is conducted in the correct formal stance. And that will be another video that we can talk more about the cover letter. The cover letter is a very complex thing, but I feel like if you're able to write your resume first, your cover letter flows a little bit easier. So this is the first part. Social media. Social media is so important. They are looking you up. If you think they're not, you're wrong. Even most job sites are connected to your Facebook now. So I really recommend looking at what you've been posting, making sure that everything is appropriate, because these things do resurface. And I'll be honest with you, the internet is forever. If you think it's gone, it's probably not. So make sure that you're representing yourself really well. And that's all we'll say about that one. Doesn't have to be a video. All right. So these are some of the power verbs that I was talking about before, and these are available on our website at ocbiotecheducation.org. You will be able to download a worksheet with them, and I really love this format because they're broken down into kind of different sectors. So if you worked at a bank, here's some financial skills, or if you did cashiering, those are great words to use when you're describing the type of work that you did, your job duties on your resume, right? So this one is great because it has helping skills. I like that. If you worked in medicine or customer service or with children, that's a really, really great one to talk about. A really great section of words there. And it keeps going up until management skills. You have research skills. So if you're talking more about what you've done on internships, these are really great words for you to use, and it can really just elevate the impact of your work experience and communicating what you've done, right? I feel like too often people belittle the work that they do. So the words that you use are very important. And again, it just shows that this is a very thoughtful, deliberate document. And that's the type of worker an employer wants.